Right now, the engine of global capitalism is grinding to a halt. Not because of a stock market crash or a trade war, but because we are literally running out of humans to keep the gears turning. We've reached a demographic abyss where the magic number for civilizational survival is 2.1, yet the world's powerhouses are in a total freefall. This isn't a temporary recession, it's a permanent, one-way reset of the global order, and the first dominoes have already fallen. Think about the sheer scale of that impact. For nearly a century, every pension fund, every infrastructure project, and every corporate strategy relied on one constant: a growing pool of workers and consumers. That constant has vanished. We aren't just looking at fewer babies, we're looking at the sudden evaporation of the labor force that fueled the modern world. This isn't a distant threat, it's an immediate, systemic shock to the cost of everything you buy and the value of everything you own. The stakes couldn't be higher, because when the foundation of growth disappears, the entire structure of global wealth begins to lean over a void. To understand the depth of that void, we have to look at the math that has kept the world stable for generations. Most people view falling birth rates as a simple social trend, a shift in lifestyle or career timing. In fact, for decades, the prevailing fear was overpopulation. We were told the world was bursting at the seams and that a slowdown would be a relief. We assumed that fewer people would mean less competition, cheaper housing, and a planet that could finally breathe. This perspective relies on the logic of the magic number, 2.1. That is the fertility rate required just to keep a population stable. As long as we hover near that mark, we believe the engine of the global economy will keep humming along, perhaps a bit slower, but still functional. It's a comforting, linear view of progress. But this surface-level optimism masks a far more volatile reality, because the numbers we are seeing today aren't just a dip, they are a terminal descent. But here is the hidden trap that almost everyone overlooks. We aren't just moving toward a smaller world, we are moving toward an inverted one. For a century, the global economy functioned like a massive pyramid, supported by a broad base of young, productive workers who fueled growth and funded the retirements of those at the top. Now, that pyramid is flipping on its head. This isn't a gradual transition, it's a structural snap. When you look at South Korea's 0.73 or China's tanking numbers, you aren't seeing a manageable decline. You are witnessing a demographic heart attack. The hidden truth is that our entire financial system, from pension funds to national debt, is predicated on the existence of people who haven't been born yet. As that foundation vanishes, the demographic drag transforms from a slow burn into a high-speed collision. We are entering a feedback loop where the cost of caring for the elderly crushes the remaining young, making it financially impossible for them to start families. The engine isn't just idling, it is beginning to consume itself. But here is the real kicker, the part that economists whisper about behind closed doors. We didn't just build an economy on more people, we built it on the illusion of infinite cheapness. For the last 30 years, globalization was essentially a massive demographic arbitrage. We offshored everything to places with a youth bulge, nations like China, where labor was an endless, low-cost river. But that river hasn't just slowed down, it's drying up at the source. There is no next China. There is no hidden continent of 2 billion young workers waiting to keep your electronics cheap. The hidden truth is that the low-inflation, high-growth era of our lives wasn't a miracle of technology or policy. It was a one-time demographic gift that we've already spent. Now, we are entering the Great Scarcity. When the labor pool shrinks, the power shifts, but not in a way that creates a middle-class utopia. It creates a supply-side chokehold that makes the cost of everything, from a gallon of milk to a microchip, permanently move higher. We aren't just losing workers, we are losing the very math that kept the modern world affordable. Standard economic theory tells us that when labor gets expensive, you simply automate or move. It's the invisible hand, adjusting for a temporary shortage. We've been conditioned to believe that markets are self-correcting, that scarcity eventually breeds innovation and balance. But that conventional wisdom has a fatal flaw. It assumes the consumer is a constant. The old guard thinks we can simply onshore manufacturing back to the West and solve the supply chain crisis with a few high-tech factories and higher wages. They see the silver economy as just another market segment to be tapped, like Gen Z or the suburban middle class. They are fundamentally wrong. This isn't a shift in market preference. It's a total evaporation of the velocity of money. In the old model, a worker was also a massive consumer who fueled growth by buying cars, houses, and electronics. In the new reality, an aging population becomes a capital sink. They stop accumulating and start liquidating. You can't innovate your way out of a world where there are more funerals than births. The fatal mistake is thinking we are in a manageable cycle, when in reality, we are witnessing the terminal collapse of the demand-side engine itself. This brings us to the most uncomfortable secret of the 2025 reset, the one that will determine who survives and who fades into the background. While the headlines focus on the end of growth, they are ignoring the birth of the most aggressive competition in human history. We are entering the era of biological arbitrage. Think about it. When real estate, manufacturing, and consumer goods lose their value because there simply aren't enough people to buy them, what becomes infinitely more precious? The human spark. The unfair advantage of the next decade won't be held by those with the most capital or the fastest algorithms, but by those who can effectively capture the dwindling supply of human talent. We are witnessing the start of a global poaching war for the young and the skilled. If you aren't a demographic magnet, you aren't just facing a recession, you are facing an extinction event. The secret is realizing that in a world of zeros, the entity that holds the only one owns everything. The window to secure your place in this new hierarchy is closing. Soon, you won't be able to buy talent at any price. This poaching war isn't just an external competition. It's the trigger for a catastrophic internal collapse. We are walking straight into the dependency trap, a mathematical nightmare where the burden of the past devours the potential of the future. As the ratio of retirees to workers skyrockets, the cost of healthcare and pensions becomes a fiscal vacuum, sucking the lifeblood out of every national budget. Governments are being forced into a brutal zero-sum choice. Do you tax the dwindling pool of young talent into oblivion to fund the elderly, or do you let the social safety net shatter? If you tax them, they flee to the highest bidder, accelerating your decline. If you don't, you face a political uprising from the very generation that holds all the voting power. This is the civilizational breaking point. We've built a system where the survival of the old requires the economic strangulation of the young. The math has finally run out of road. And while we hunt for a savior, we've ignored the one systemic flaw about to blow the entire global financial system wide open. That systemic flaw is the debt-based delusion that we could borrow against a future that no longer exists. Every $1 trillion of national debt currently circulating is a lien on the productivity of children who were never conceived. For 75 years, our financial architecture was built on the promise that tomorrow's workforce would always be larger than today's. We sold the future to pay for the present, and now, the bill has come due to an empty room. This is where the 2.1 magic number ceases to be a statistic and becomes a ghost, a haunting reminder that you cannot have infinite compound interest in a finite biological reality. The catharsis isn't found in a policy fix or a robotic savior. It is found in the brutal honesty of the reset. We are witnessing the final death of growth as a synonym for health. The demographic abyss is not a hole we are falling into. It is the floor of a new foundation. We are entering the first era in human history where progress must be decoupled from headcount. The 20th century was the era of the crowd, of mass production, mass consumption, and the power of sheer volume. The 21st century will be the era of the individual, of radical efficiency, high density value, and the preservation of quality over the vanity of quantity. The engine didn't break, it reached its terminal velocity. Prosperity in a shrinking world no longer means more, it means the resilience of what remains. We are finally learning that a healthy civilization is not one that grows forever, but one that values the humans it actually has. This radical shift means the leverage is finally moving away from the boardrooms and back to the living rooms. For decades, the system treated humans like an infinite commodity, easily replaced and endlessly exploited. But in a world of scarcity, every person becomes a strategic asset. We are moving from the age of quantity, where we measured success by how many units we could move and how many bodies we could stack, to the age of precision. In this new reality, wealth will be found in the longevity of our health, the depth of our skills, and the efficiency of our systems. The demographic abyss isn't a death sentence. It is a forced evolution. It is stripping away the noise of mindless expansion to reveal what was always supposed to be at the center of the economy: us. If you've spent your life waiting for the old normal to return, you are chasing a ghost. The 2.1 era is gone, and it isn't coming back. But for those who stop mourning the loss of the crowd and start investing in the value of the few, the opportunities have never been more concentrated. The most important investment you can make right now isn't in a market index predicated on more people. It's in the skills and technologies that thrive when people are rare. Look at the data, acknowledge the reality of the 2025 reset, and ask yourself, are you still planning for a world that is already empty?